Hello, this is Danny from CG Dreams. Today we're going to be looking at retopology within Cinema 4D, and the version that I'm using is Cinema 4D R19 Studio. Now the tool that we're going to be using today is the Polygon Pen, and if you've got this in earlier versions then you should be able to follow along with this video tutorial. This video tutorial isn't to do with learning about everything about the Polygon Pen, so it's not to do with learning to use the tool so much, but it's learning a workflow. And the workflow that I'm going to be showing you is my workflow that I use this particular tool for. Now I use the Polygon Pen Tool for two reasons. I use it either to build a base mesh from scratch using a background reference image, or I use it to create brand new retopology for an existing model. I'm going to be showing you both of these methods today. Now first of all, let's get this tool up. So I'm going to go to my mesh menu, create tool, and then select the Polygon Pen. I'm also going to go to a orthographic view such as the front so I can show you how this works. Now you'll see all the options to the right hand side here, and I'm going to leave everything exactly as it is. And in this particular mode, what you'll be able to do is you'll be able to create a shape representing a n-gon like this, meaning it's got more than 4 sides to it. This is perfectly fine providing you want to convert this later on into a quad polygon model, which I'm going to show you how to do later on. But from the offset, this is how you start off with the tool in its basic settings. Now you notice that I was able to complete this by clicking on a point the second time. So I'll just do this again, create any shape I want, and then I'm just going to click on any point, and then it drops the tool. Or shall I say it drops the shape that I've just created, but it leaves the tool still active. So it's something to remember that in all of the modes you either have to click on a point to drop this selection or the shape that you've made, or you press the escape key and that will do the same thing. You'll also notice at the top here that you can see a polygon object, and each time that you create a new shape, it's going to update the existing polygon object that you've currently got selected. If you deselect this and then you create a brand new shape, it's going to create us a brand new polygon object, as you can see there. Now from the default mode, and let's just bring up my settings again, I'm going to lock this so we can just keep it here. From the default mode that we've got currently selected, it allows us to create n-gon shapes, as I've already said. But there are some specific keys that we can use in all of the modes in which we can extend the usage of any of the modes that we are going to be using. The primary one is the control key, and you'll notice when you press the control key, when you're over an edge, it allows you to drag an edge and start to extend that edge. You can also by default hover over the face, the edge, or the vertice to manipulate that. So you could say by default it's working in tweak mode. Now another good feature of this is its ability to also weld when one point or edge connects or gets close to another. So as an example here, I'm going to just delete this shape and work on this one here. I'm going to extend this and shape it. And I'm going to bring it back into here. So all we have to do is press the control key, drag it, and when you get close you can see here that it snaps. Now you can make it just so one vertice snaps, or if you keep on pushing it closer it will eventually snap the whole edge. You can also just choose a particular vertice just to snap to a particular vertice like this. This is handy if you wanted to create a change in direction of your polygons. Now Although the Polygon tool is very, very versatile and allows you to make pretty much anything that you want, I must mention at this point that you do need to know or understand the basics of polygon modeling, because the construction in which you place these polygons needs to be consistent to the shape and form that you're trying to create. In other words, you would try to avoid n-gons as an example here. So this is something that you need to keep in mind. If you've got an n-gon somewhere, then you want to eliminate that. And by understanding the basics of polygon modeling, you're going to be directing your edge flow to be more consistent with what a traditional polygon model is made like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue with this, and you can see here it allows me to snap, and I'm just filling in this n-gon shape that I previously had. Now you notice here you've got a little bit of a problem. I've got this edge and I've got this edge here, and I could do with having an extra point right here. Well, all we have to do is we hold the shift key, click once on any edge, and it will create an additional point. Then we can weld to it and continue to work like this. So you can see here it's very, very versatile. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to continue to extrude this edge with the control key. Let's lock it to there. And then I'm just going to close that up. Okay. Brilliant. So you can see here that this tool is very, very versatile and what we can do with it, even in its basic mode. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to delete this and I'm going to take it a step further. I'm just going to rotate this viewport so that it's more straight here. At the moment we're in points mode. We've also got edge mode and polygon mode. These are all the component types that you would normally have to select to the left hand side in earlier versions of the Polygon pen. Now they can be selected directly from here. Now while I'm in the points mode, I'm just going to activate the quad strip mode, and I want to show you exactly what happens now we've activated this. I'm going to start to draw out. You notice that the second that I created a quad polygon, that it's basically allowed me to start to create a brand new one and another one. You can still go and tweak the vertices, but it will allow you just to continually create more and more polygons. Now I find this one of the best ways to go around specific edges, such as for like the eyes. And of course you can just close that up. And you can do your tweaking. So when we turn on the quad strip mode in points mode here, what it allows us to do is it allows us to continue to create polygons, quad polygons. Now even though the n-gon, create n-gons is turned on at the moment here, it doesn't mean that it's going to stop you from creating quads. But what it does mean is that if you did create an n-gon or something to that matter, it would allow you to create it and it wouldn't try to fill in the gaps. And there are occasions where you may have an n-gon created and you've got this turned off, and I'll show you what this does. I'm going to just take quad strip mode off and take the create n-gons option off. Now when I create a n-gon, you'll notice here that it tries to create a edge somewhere in order to take it away from an n-gon into at least a triangle. And I'll just do that again. I'll create something a bit more extravagant, and you'll notice here that it's created quads where it can, and it's also created triangles. If you've got the create n-gon mode turned on, it means that it's going to allow you to create this shape without it automatically trying to work out where it needs to put the cuts in for you. That's really where you would turn this on and off. The quad strip mode, as I've already shown you here, well, it's going to naturally always make the quads for you, so there's no problem there. You click on existing point. You can see here that it's not really letting go of it. So what you do in this mode, you press the escape key and it's allowed that shape to be dropped. Let's clear this again and we will move on to the next mode. So we go from points to edges. We're still going to stay in strip mode, but it allows you to do some extra things that you couldn't do when you was in point mode. So I'll show you what that is. What you can do is you can create a strip of polygons and it's going to make it into quads. So this is another way that you'll be able to work around say the eye of a human or an animal. It just does it in a slightly different way when you're in quad mode. So let's just show you again. I'm just going like here. We just drop that tool. You can see it's continuing from where I left off, so I'm just going to press the escape. You see this? You can get very precise with this. And then you can just press the control key and then just fill in the gap. So you can see here it's another way of working. So what happens if you come out of quad strip mode here? What happens then? Well, I'll show you. What it does is it allows you to continue to create these strips of polygons, but it's not going to make them into quads. But what it does later do is when you go across, it will fill in automatically, making quads for you. And if I change my display mode here, you can see that it's actually automatically filled it in for us. So that's really, really handy to be able to do that. This is nice if you've got a really big area that you want to cover, a patch, and you can go straight through and it automatically creates those for you. Now you notice after you're doing that you've got all of these stray edges here. Now that's not something to be worried about. All you have to do is just to go to another mode, such as back to points, and you can see here that all those stray edges have been deleted for you automatically. You go back to edges again and there we go. We can continue to extrude holding the control key, you can see there, or we can start to delete individual points by holding the control key. So the control key has got various functions to it. Without the control key we can just simply tweak. With the control key we can extrude, but if we go over an edge you can see here that it actually allows us to delete. You see that? By clicking once it allows you to delete. The same thing as, like, say for instance these polygons in the middle here, just click once and it will delete. So the control key has got two functions to it. It allows you to extrude and it also allows you to delete as well. So that's quite nice to have. Now as I mentioned that you can do control to extrude, so far we've just been extruding some edges, okay? You can also extrude vertices. You can see this. What you can also do is you can extrude faces. So let's go to our perspective view here and hold down the control key, and you can see here that now I'm able to start extruding faces. Now you'll notice that I can still do my tweaking, okay, but what about if I wanted to move a face directly out towards its normal? This would be one of those occasions that you might want to do that. You could be at an angle like this and you start to move it, and then you move to the front and you realize that you've moved it out to the side at a different angle. All you do is you just hold down the control and shift, which is while you're in face mode, and you're able to move this directly out to its normal. You don't have to do it on an extruded area, you can do it for any area. Now this is particularly useful when you're creating a human face from a 2D or a background image of a human face. we need to create some 3D dimension to it, and there will be a point where you want to start pulling out the nose, and this will be one of those occasions where you would want to hold down the Control and Shift key when you're hovering over the face so that you can pull it directly out towards its normal. You see there, like that. So that's where that's going to be particularly useful for us. Now when we go to continue to extrude with the Shift key held down, or sorry, with the Control key, you'll notice here that it hasn't created any additional edges. So initially you can see it extrudes it once, but if I try to extrude it again, it's just simply extending it. And this is all to do with a feature which is called Create Coplanar Edges on Extrude. By default, what this allows you to do is it allows you to basically extrude inwards without leaving any edges behind. Whereas when you've got this Create Coplanar Edge on Extrude turned on, it behaves much more like a standard extrude. I'll show you this. You can see here it's creating additional polygons, leaving the previous edges behind. But if I was to try to extrude downwards in this mode, you'll notice that it's leaving the previous edges there. Whereas if I was to turn off this Create Coplanar Edge on Extrude off and then do the same thing, you'll notice here that it tries to make sure that it deletes any edges that was previously there. Now in the account that we will be unlucky to be left behind with an N-gon, how do we get an edge to go from this vertex all the way around to here? Now there's several ways that we can do this. We could use the standard slice tool, which would be the quickest way of doing it, but I'm going to show you another way that you can do it as well while you've still got the Polygon pen active. What you can do is you can click on this edge here. If you go along and click on anywhere along this edge, it automatically joins any vertices in any adjacent edges that are in between it. What you can do then is you can just click on here and just continue to go around, and I'm not holding any other shortcut key here. I'm just simply clicking on a vertex, and there we go. What we've now done is we've made it all quad polygons. The other way we could go about it is to use the edge slice and then just slide it down close to the edge, and then just simply drag the one vertex to another. And that's another way that we can do it, but that's going outside the Polygon pen function. So anyway, that's why we would use the Create Coplanar Edge on Extrude. We've already looked at the Create N-gons, what that does, and we know what the Auto Weld does. This allows us to select a vertex or an edge and bring it close to another one, and it will automatically weld. If you've got this turned off, it just allows you to essentially just tweak. And there may be some occasions where you're getting vertices that are very close to each other that keep on welding to another one, and in this particular case you may want to turn this off. Another thing to notice as well is that sometimes when, say for instance, you've got the view mode set to X-ray, it means you can see the vertices on the other side, and this can cause problems. I'll just show you this. So you've got X-ray on, you see here. Now if I start to work with my Polygon pen, that's the wrong one. You'll notice that on some occasions it will try to snap to a back-facing edge or polygon. Now in this particular case it's behaving itself, but this is not always the case. There's been some times where I've actually been tweaking and it locks to a vertex in the background. It may be that it only does it when it's particularly close to another vertex. The way to get around this and to create less confusion for the eye is to go to our options here, and then we turn on back face culling, and what it does is it will basically stop any back facing to be shown as we rotate around the tool when we're in X-ray mode for the polygon object. That's just something that you may want to keep note of. So going back to the tool that we've been using, we've looked at pretty much all of these options. The only option that we haven't looked is the Polygon Mode to see how it behaves slightly different in Polygon Mode. So that's just delete our polygon. We'll go to the front view and we will reselect our tool. We're in Polygon Mode at the moment. Now with the Polygon Mode, when you press the middle mouse button, you're able to create this brush size, this brush radius, as you can see here, going up and down. What this does is it allows you to draw polygons. You see that? And I think that's pretty cool to be able to do that. It's a nice way to quickly fill in an area and then go in there afterwards and start to fill in with your control key the additional edges that you want in there. You see that? Now what you can't do is you can't go from an existing edge and then continue to draw, but what you can do is, providing you've already got your polygon object still selected, is you can go and start to draw your polygons, and when you get close to an edge, you'll notice here that it will lock onto that edge. So it's a really nice way to create edge flow, say for something that's very particular that you want an edge flow. This could be something like around an eye. You notice you can't automatically join it up there, you just hold down the control key to finish that off. It could be around the nose area, the muzzle area of a human face. And again, it's the simple case of just using the control key to drag and bridge over a polygon like this. So you can see that it's very, very powerful in what we can do with this. Very, very powerful. Now, the occasion where you may want to use the extrude for a point is when you're changing direction of your polygons. Now, by doing this, of course, what you're doing is you're going to be adding a triangle, but you can easily go in there and add another edge, as I've shown you before, but you wouldn't be able to do this in Polygon Mode. But I'm just showing you this while I'm here. So this Polygon Mode allows you to do some really cool things. By default, it's working in Polygon Strip mode, so it's got it grayed out automatically. So that's what you can do with that. Now, that's pretty much what we would do with this Polygon Mode. Now, if you use all of these different features with each other, you're going to be able to create some really, really good stuff going on. You see there, it's so easy to split up. I'm just simply just clicking. You can click individually on the edges, or you can go straight through and it will automatically cut between them. The only thing is, when you're going from edge to edge, you just need to make sure that you click on the previous vertice. Now, unfortunately, there's no way of doing a loop slice through there. It would be pretty nice if that was the case, that we could do this, but you do have to kind of manually go through it to create a loop slice. But there are other ways that we can actually use our edges mode as well, and I'm going to show you this. I'm going to make sure that I'm in N-gon mode, and I've definitely not got the quad strip mode. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go from this vertex and I'm going to start creating a set of edges. Now I'm going to make sure that I'm in the right mode here. Let's just check. Auto weld. Yeah. And in fact, it's not the edge mode that I wanted to show you here for this additional feature. It's in points mode. So in points mode, make sure that you've got your create n-gons off and that you're not in quad strip polygon mode, and I'll show you what you can do. You can click and start on a existing vertex, and you can just start to go around point for point opposite a point that's already there, but you don't have to connect every single one of them. All you do is you click on a point which ends it, and it will automatically patch in all the area. And I think that's pretty nice to be able to do this. This kind of makes up for some of the lack of be able to split down an edge loop. We can still at least go around and quickly go around and do this so that it fills it all in. You just need to make sure that you kind of got a beginning and an end point so that it knows how to do this. Otherwise you're going to run into problems. In my particular case, I didn't start from an edge. Okay, you need to start from an edge when you're doing this. From here, like this. And then it will fill it in for you. Of course, there's nothing to stop you from quickly slicing down any of these. So I would often just jump out of here and go into my loop path cut, and I will just slice here and there where I want it, and then I'll just go back to my Polygon Pen Tool again afterwards. So it's not too much of a problem, but I feel that they should have had some kind of loop slice option in there, because I certainly not found a loop slice option where I can go through the whole thing. It just doesn't allow me to do that, only individually through it. So with all of these options shown to you, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you the scenario in which I would do both the polygon by polygon method of modeling with a background reference image, and using it for retopology, in which I will show you the project result feature. So we can get straight to it. I'm going to go straight to the front view, and in the options here we've got the configure, we've got the backdrop. This is where we put our backdrop image. Just drag and drop that in there, or you can drag and drop it straight into the viewport. It does the same thing. You're going to be modeling ideally so that the center of your face is going to be in the 0Z axis, or 0X axis shall I say, not the Z, and at the moment it certainly is not there. So this green line that's going through the middle here is indicating where the middle of the face should be. So all you have to do is just adjust it so that you're moving it on the X, so that it does go straight down the center of the face, like that. You drag and drop exactly the same image to the right view, and you'll set this up so that it goes down the middle of the head, and you'll soon know where that is, because as soon as you start to do your modeling in one area, then it will either fit or it won't fit in the other area. So you can see here that it's put it correctly here, but in this view it certainly isn't corrected. So that's just go to configure. We'll adjust it so that it fits, and the middle of the head is just in front of the ear there. Okay, that's where the middle of the head will be. That's where you want to align it. Gives you an idea. So on with the retopology tools. I'm going to go into the filter. I'm going to turn off the grid. Don't need to see that. And this is generally where I'll go about this. I'm going to turn off the world axis as well, so we don't see that. So we'll activate our pen. Make sure that I've got my quad strip mode on. And I'll just start making my quads. Now when I'm actually doing a proper project, I would make more conscious effort as to how many I'm going to add right here. But I'm just giving you a general idea of the workflow that I use when I'm doing this. I would also use a real world scale eye to do my modelling off. When I get to that point anyway, when I'm going to be fitting the eye, then I will ditch the reference image. You notice that when I'm doing this, I'm actually going by the inside of the eyelid. Okay, so that's what I would normally do anyway. And then what I'll do is I would press the escape key and I'll start a brand new strip. Now this brand new strip, what you can do is you can go into the polygon mode and then just simply start to create them around like that. But if you do that, you need to be aware that the size of the brush is going to be as to how many polygons are going to be in that strip. But it's certainly a quick way for you to quickly get some of these down, and it's a nice way for you to get all of them quads and evenly spaced. But you need to, as I said, you need to make sure that you've got the right size. Now to get the general right size, what you can do is you can just basically go close to existing polygon here and see how it fits in within that. I would definitely have this smaller than that, but you get the idea. Generally though, I would stick to the points mode. I feel that I've got a little bit more control over this, and I create exactly how many polygons I want first time. Generally, once I create the first polygon, I would just switch to edge mode. So basically that's the control key, as I've already shown you. I'm going to grab all of my geometry, Control and A. I'm going to just move this forward so it's right at the edge of the face here, and I will rotate the whole lot so that it's at the contour of the face. You can see that between the eyebrow bone where the chin is. Press U and L, you can select a loop. And I'll just use the conventional tools, just move them back in space. The upper eyelid is always overhanging the low, so I'm getting that angle in early. And then what I'll do is I'll just grab the polygons and bring them back in space. Specifically this edge here, let's just bring that back. It's something that you have to get used to. That edge belongs there, and that edge belongs further back. If you look in my videos, you'll see at least a couple of videos where in a time lapse where I've been doing this. The next method I'm going to show you is the retopology, in which you create brand new topology on top of an existing model. Normally this would be the case if it's a 3D scan, so it's a very dense mesh, or it would be a 3D object that you've already sculpted yourself. For this demonstration, I'm just going to select a head that comes with ZBrush just to show you this. So I'm just going to load this up. Now it may be the case that your sculpt in ZBrush has millions of polygons. If that's the case, then you would definitely need to go down a few sub-D levels. There is no reason why you would need to go to extreme high levels at the stage of topology. In fact, something like this should be fine. You could even go a little bit higher if you wanted to, but I find generally this should be fine. If you have got specific details in your sculpture that you want to create retopology on, you would normally use a method called tessellation. And what that will do is it will create a triangulated mesh, but it would retain a lot of the forms and details in pretty much every single one of them, but producing way less polygon count, so it's easier to work on inside your target application. For this particular case, it's quite simple. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to subdivide this one more time just to show you this. Let's do another one as well. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you this very quickly. We go to the plugins. I'm going to dock the plugins, and then we've got this in decimation master. I'm going to process current, and then I'm going to take the decimation down a little bit and then decimate it, and basically it's created a triangulated version, which is more ideal for doing topology on. It's going to have less polygons basically. And then I'm going to use GoZ, send it over into Cinema 4D. So, and for our purposes, I'm going to just grab this head, cut it from this scene. I'm going to go into a brand new scene and work in here. So the method I'm going to show you now is retopology, using exactly the same tool. So how I would go about this would be exactly the same way as I showed you in the previous part, only that I would activate a new feature. Now you don't want to have the model selected when you're going to be doing this, so you deselect the model, you would go to activate your tool. The beauty about it doing it this particular way is that you don't have to work from an orthographic view like the front or side. You can just go straight up to the model and start to create your topology on top. I want to make sure that I've got the project results turned on. This will enable snap into background, and also the quad strip mode turned on. And then all I have to do then is just start creating my new topology. And you can do exactly the same thing as before. You can tweak it to your heart's desire. The thing that I like to do sometimes is I like to select the geometry and put it into X-ray mode, and then make sure that I've got my back face culling so I can't see the background. That sometimes helps me see the polygons a little bit more better that I'm placing down. You get the idea of what I'm doing here. I'm doing exactly the same thing as I was doing when I was working from the reference, only this time I'm working specifically from the geometry. The thing about doing it this way is that what it will do is it will allow you to quickly build up your shape, but it's much easier to get it to the form that you want, because you've already previously sculpted the form already. So it's the case of now just creating brand new topology for your mesh. Hold down the control key. And what I would do is I would normally just go down in big movements, and then I'll just fill in all the gaps. Now what's important is that you just do one side of the head. You see right here, click there, no other keys held down. You can see how quick this is. Let's create a corner for the mouth there. Leave a bit of a gap. Normally I would make the polygon count way lower than this, but I'm just giving you a quick demo of the tools in action here. Okay. When you're doing the actual project, try to make sure that you keep the polygons as square and uniform as possible. You can use like the smooth deformer, that helps smooth things out. You can also use the smooth brush as well for your modeling tools. That also helps. You can just basically just brush over it and it will evenly distribute it out a bit more better. And they're tools that are just absolutely fantastic to be able to have access to. That would be much good for me. You can see this smooth brush here. You want to make sure that you've got a really low pressure. Just helps distribute them out a little bit more. Go back to my polygon pen. And that's basically all you would have to do, and you can just tweak to your heart's content. Bearing in mind that you've got all those other tools or functions within this tool. It's quite a time-consuming process, but once you get used to it, it's pretty quick. Now, in my opinion, there's some features that are missing at the moment to this tool set for retopology, such as edge slice, to build a slice around a loop, edge loop slice. Also to be able to extrude a whole row of edges at one time. So, for instance, in Modo, I can grab any edge here and I can extrude, and it will extrude all of the edges at once. So that can save quite a bit of time. Now, unfortunately, the mode where you can select an edge and to simply go around edge point for point and where it connects up doesn't work too well when you're working with projection or when you're working with a non-planar surface. So it's not more ideal for when you're working off a reference image, and I'll just show you what I mean by this. We just go into polygon mode, select a strip of polygons, and then in point mode, if I can just go here and I can just simply click all the way around point for point, and then when I connect that up, you can see here that it's made all of the edges that's required. Unfortunately, that doesn't work when you're working in this kind of mode on basically free topology, so it's definitely more of a manual job when it comes to this. So what you can do is you can get that started off like that and then just go around like that. It doesn't take too long, but overall the whole process is quite lengthy. This is why normally I would like to do my polygon modeling and then take it to the sculpting stage secondary. I've got my project results turned off at the moment here, so that's going to create a bit of havoc for us. Okay. The good thing about doing it this way is it teaches you how to do your topology without having to worry about the placement in 3D space. The project results is dealing with that. Then what you can concentrate on is the topology itself, where you want all your edge loops to be going. going to go for the entire head, but you can see just how easy it is to build up your topology. It's very, very quick. Got to make sure the crate n-gons is turned on so I can do my splitting. You can split down more than one polygon, but it's not going to have the same kind of flow. Anyway, I'm just really whipping through this, but you can get the overall idea of how quick it can be. Although it does require a bit of more planning than what I'm showing you here. Pretty well much whipping around this pretty quick, not really taking much care and attention to my placement, but you certainly would want to do that. Eventually you're going to end up filling all the gaps in, and then you're going to want to take it to the stage where you re-project the original detail from the original sculpt onto this mesh. This is certainly a topic that you won't see many people cover in video tutorials because it's such a lengthy thing to do. And to be quite honest with you, there's not a linear approach to do all your topology. It's something that comes from experience, and then as you go you'll start to realize that there is no just the way, there's a way of doing things, and it's down to you to adapt how that's done. I'm only doing it very roughly here, but you get to see the idea of what I'm thinking when I'm doing this. I'm thinking about loops, thinking about the muzzle loop around here. I want to have at least two. I would want to have a couple of loops around the eyes here. I want to have a loop that goes around the chin. These are the essential loops, and I would have a loop going around the mouth as well, around here. And I've got this loop here going all the way down to the sternocleidomastoid muscle for the neck. And that's basically it. That's all I would do. Once I get to a stage where I've done half of the head, which I obviously haven't at the moment, I would turn off my background object visibly, and I will make sure that all of my edges down through the center here are on 0 axis. So I would double click like this and here, activate my scale tool. I'll start to scale and then hold the shift key, and then I'll just go down to the percentages showing 0, and then I will go down to my position and I will just type in 0 on here. This means that basically when I take this into the symmetry tool, it will automatically create proper symmetry for the other side, and then eventually I can make that editable, and then I have one complete object with all the topology in place across the whole head. Once I've done this and I've got the basic shape that I want, this is where I would make sure that I've got an eyeball, make an eyeball to the proper scale of a human scale eyeball, and then I would scale down this head to fit with that ideal eyeball, making sure that my head always remains with its center axis in the X position at 0, and then I'm off to a good start. But this is very, very basic. Other things that I would do, especially when I'm creating a lower polygon version than this, is I would subdivide it once on a very low polygon model version, and then I would use that subdivision version one level as my new mesh from that point onwards. Other things that you would do during the process would be to use your slicing, your path cut slice. So you would make loops while you're in symmetry mode for extra geometry where you need it. So they're kind of things that you would definitely do. And that's it. So I'm going to leave this video here. I've given you the introduction to the topology tools, well, that being the Polygon Pen Tool, how you can use it in its general function, and how you could use it for two particular purposes. One for making a polygon model from a orthographic 2D background image, and the other is what I've just shown you, how to use it as a retopology tool to create brand new edge flow topology for your 3D scans and high resolution sculpts.